Meg and Morgs. After spending 9 months backpacking our way across Southeast Asia, we decided we were ready for a new challenge. After arriving in Australia, we bought a converted four-wheel drive, and so far we've driven the East Coast and spent one incredible month in Tasmania. Our adventure now takes us west along the south coast, as over the next few months we take on the huge 4,000-kilometre drive between Melbourne and Perth. Join us today as the adventure continues. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. We're Meg and Morgs. So it has been a little while since you last saw us. We were finishing up the Great Ocean Road and heading into Adelaide. We're now on the other side of Adelaide, so we've spent 2 weeks there getting ready for this big leg of the journey. We stayed with family, which was great. Spending quality time with them, and also helped us cut our accommodation costs out. As you know, we've been pet sitting in other big cities. But yeah, we just spent the time sort of exploring the area, spending quality time with family, and then also like doing some jobs like taking the car for a service. Morgan wanted another mattress to make the bed a bit more comfier.
So we didn't really do too much filming, sort of like talking to camera while we were in Adelaide, just because we wanted to spend, like Meg said, some quality time with family and just take some downtime and stuff like that. But so we started off, we went out for a day to the Barossa Valley. Adelaide's very famous for its wine, and especially in that particular region. Megan did a little wine tasting.
Yeah, it was really affordable actually. You got to try like 5 or 6 different wines.
I think they kind of expected you to sort of like buy a bottle of wine at the end of it, which didn't happen.
No.
But Megan's not really much of a wine drinker, and neither am I anyway, but it was like something to do as an experience.
We also watched some AFL games with my family who taught us the rules. So we actually went to go watch Port Power play.
Yeah.
So that was fun. Like the atmospheres were really good of one of the Aussie rules matches.
Yeah, it was really good. We enjoyed just being like in the stadium, in the crowds. Like Megan said, the atmosphere is great, and it's like learning a new sport, because obviously we'd seen Aussie rules before, but I don't know, the rules seemed like really confusing at the start, like what you can and can't do. It's kind of like a mixture of Gaelic football, then like there's some aspects of like rugby to it. But we enjoyed our time there and we had a lovely evening. It's just been like really nice weather as well since we were in Adelaide. It's kind of been like cool, but like nice and sunny. We've enjoyed it.
We spent some time like walking along the seafront, and the beaches in Adelaide are beautiful. They're quite shallow, but like we are really getting towards those white beaches you'd expect from Western Australia, so that was nice. And then lastly we went up to Mount Lofty, look out over the city. And then after that we went to the nearby Harndorf, which is like a German-inspired village. Did some shopping there. But yeah, it's been fun.
We really liked like Mount Lofty, and we've been to quite a few of the sort of like lookout points over big cities. I think it's nice to kind of get a perspective of everything. Like when we were in Brisbane, we went up to like Mount Coosa, and then there's like a variety of different ones you can go to in the big cities. But generally speaking, we really enjoyed our time in Adelaide. It's kind of a much smaller city to like Melbourne or Sydney, but it was really nice and really sort of like easy to get around, and we were able to get all the things we needed sorted, all the upgrades for the car, and it wasn't sort of like super busy with traffic and everything like that.
No.
We're back out on the road now. We left yesterday and we headed a couple of hours down to the York Peninsula. We're going to spend like a day today exploring sort of like the whole area basically, after we had a lovely camp spot last night down by the beach. I'll put the location of the campsite up on the screen, but it was beautiful, like sunset.
Watching the sunset, and then we saw some dolphins swim by, and then when we got to the car, like we were looking up and the stars were incredible. Was able to see like the Milky Way.
Yeah, obviously, it was really
phones can't capture just how amazing it is, but we'll put a photo up on the screen that we took. But yeah, it was a nice first night back on the road.
We just stopped off at the Pink Lake. The pink lakes that we've seen so far is never quite as good as what you might hope it to be. It's kind of like an old like salt works, I guess.
Yeah.
We've got a few spots on the York Peninsula today, so we'll just take you along with all the different places that we stop off. after we last spoke to you, we stopped off at the town jetty in
like Point Turton.
And then now we've driven quite a bit further south, probably like an hour south, into the national park at the very bottom of the York Peninsula.
What's it called, Morgan?
It is called, let me read it off the map, Dilba Garanda Ines National Park. I'll put it on the screen, but it'd be impossible for me to pronounce it correctly, I imagine. But it's basically sort of like just the whole sort of like of the coastline. There's a big road with lots of stuff to do and stop off at. People stay here for like a little while. I think they bring the caravans and like stay at different campsites, but we're going to just be sort of like stopping off at the different places along the day today. And
we had to pay $13 for the car for like the park entry fee.
Yeah.
So it's not too expensive. That's for one day. And then I think you have to pay a little bit more if you're staying overnight as well. Yeah, so far it was very beautiful. We saw some dolphins at the town jetty.
We did, yeah.
Which is always nice. And yeah, we're excited to explore.
Stopped off at a little lookout, only about sort of 10 minutes from the visitor centre, and we drove a little bit further now to Cape Spencer Lighthouse.
Yes.
There's been beautiful views along this coastline. It's kind of like not the sort of coastline that we'd seen really. We kind of saw some sort of cliffs on the Great Ocean Road, but this is like really now like a very rugged sort of like coastline, as you can sort of see this way and then behind me there. Very beautiful though. Just going to kind of follow the coast around. We're both kind of feeling quite tired. First night back in the car never feel good. Yeah, like not that much space. You never sleep that well. Always got like a bit of a stiff neck. I don't know. We're just going to do as much as we can today really.
Yeah.
We're planning on sort of like doing a bit around the peninsula, then heading back up further north, just so that we don't have so much driving to do tomorrow, and we're going to go to Port Augusta.
We just stopped off at Ethel Beach, which was a lookout, and you could see like the shipwreck remains still on the beach.
Yeah, I think it was shipwrecked in like 1904. But along this coastline there's lots of like remnants of shipwrecks, just because of like the storms and the bad weather that they get along here, hence why there's also quite a lot of lighthouses, just because with this being a peninsula that sort of sticks out, I guess it must have caught people off guard. But we're at another one of the lighthouses now,
which is like Western Cape Lookout we're at, and then this one you can do like a loop walk, but the views behind us are stunning,
beautiful,
and you can see all the other bays.
Yeah, so then there's like Pondalawi Bay a bit further on, which we didn't realise we'd get such a good view of from here, because we were going to drive all the way down, but and that's like where you can camp as well. You can spend, like, that's one of the more popular campsites I think down there.
And then further on down there's Shell Beach, but that's an unsealed road, and we just don't want to drive too far just for that.
Yeah, so we're going to go
have to head back. So we're going to get some lunch with a viewpoint, and then we're going to head back. And then we drove up to our free camp last night, stopping at a small town. I believe it was called Wallaroo. And we got some really good fish and chips there. So that was our dinner. Treated ourselves first few days back on the road. It takes a little bit to get back into the momentum of things. But today we're heading north, up and out of the York Peninsula. But we've had a really good time here. The national park is beautiful, and it's so worth the long drive to get down to the very edge of it.
Yeah, you could spend like a couple of nights there camping in the different spots and by the beaches, and if you like surfing, for example, there's probably lots of like places to surf. Like Meg said, it was great, and we're heading up now out of the peninsula. We'll head a bit further north than Port Augusta today and go towards the Flinders Range. I think we'll probably go to like some of the lookouts in like the South Flinders and just see kind of like how far we get today.
Yeah, so we're going to stop off at the Southern Flinders Ranges, which is just south of Port Augusta, and then it's on our way there. Just because the actual Flinders Ranges is like another few hours north of it, but we've got a lot of driving over the next few weeks, so anywhere we can save a few hours is good.
Yeah, and plus like we're kind of discussing about like selling the car and where's best to sell it, and we may end up like not selling it in Alice Springs like what we'd originally intended, and head back towards Adelaide to maybe sell it while we're staying with Meg's family. So yeah, that could be an option, and then we'll be able to visit the Flinders
on
Range
the way back.
on the way back down. So yeah, we definitely wouldn't want to visit out. When we spoke to you last, we were telling you that we were going to go to the lookout in the South Flinders. But what we didn't realise is where we'd pinned on the Google Maps, it was just like the car park to the start of the hike. And it was also like a national park fee to get in and stuff, so it just all didn't work out basically. But if we do come back south from sort of like Alice Springs towards Adelaide,
we'll do some hiking then.
In the proper Flinders, which you'll see when I flip the camera around and show you in front of us, we're at like a lookout point now.
Yeah, we're at the Matthew Flinders lookout point in the Botanical Gardens in Port Augusta. But it's funny because we were driving and there was like 2 lanes, and one of them was like Darwin and Northern Territory, and then the other one was like Perth and Western Australia.
Yeah, so this is the bit where we're at, the bit where you basically turn off. We also wanted to go to this like outback museum sort of thing, but it was like $24 a person.
Yeah.
So
not just to buy it.
but we'll be in the outback at some point anyway. So, but yeah, we're at the
Arid Botanical Gardens.
After we spoke to you last at the lookout, we were going to go to a little campsite a bit closer to where we spoke to you, but then it would have kind of been like 1:30 and we'd done everything for the day. So then we actually decided to drive basically almost all the way down to Port Lincoln, where we would have gone sort of the day after, just to sort of save us that extra driving. Really, we felt up for it, so we just continued on. Drove basically all the way there. We're at a campsite in this place called Louth. It's like that Louth Bay campsite, and it's funny because this Port Lincoln is named after Lincoln, where Meg and I are both from, and then so is this little town called Louth, which is a town just outside of Lincoln. But yeah, it's a lovely little campsite. It was $10 for the night. It's not like busy at all or anything like that, but just outside of Port Lincoln, maybe like 15 minutes or so. We got up early this morning, headed off to the gym in Port Lincoln, had a shower, which was nice, and then we wanted to sort of head across to Coffin Bay. Had a little walk around in Port Lincoln, see the beach and stuff like that. It was a nice weather this morning, but you might be able to hear the rain or the windscreen wipers going. But we drove to Coffin Bay because it's supposed to be beautiful, loads of nice beaches, like a nice walk along the Esplanade over to, I think it's like Long Bay, which is very like beautiful, lovely views and sand dunes. But the rain has just been like relentless since we got here. It's still going now, and yeah, it's kind of obviously like ruined our plans for today around Coffin Bay.
But if you don't know, Coffin Bay is quite famous for oysters. So they have those experiences where you sort of sit out in the ocean on chairs and you eat really fresh oysters.
Yeah, they have like little oyster farms.
And also like driving through the town, we saw like 15 emus.
Yeah, loads of emus.
Just on the side of the road.
Like in loads of different groups as well. Yeah.
But yeah, this rain is not conducive to a beach visit. So we're just gonna get some more miles out of the way. Obviously we've got loads of driving ahead of us over the next few weeks, so
yeah, unfortunately if we would have known, we probably wouldn't have come down to this part of the peninsula, because it would have been a lot easier to go straight from Port Augusta across to Ceduna. But it is what it is, and you can't be sort of fully prepared for this. I mean, there was like a little bit of cloud on the forecast for today. It wasn't forecast to be raining as bad as this, so yeah, it is what it is. We had a look at the weather in Ceduna, which is like where we would have to go sort of tomorrow. The weather's a lot better at the moment, so I think it must just be like a storm coming through sort of off the sea. So we're going to just basically be driving north towards Seduna, up the coast of the peninsula, and then if the weather improves and we're near one of the nice beaches, there's a load of them, like there's like Gallipoli Beach, Streaky Bay I think,
yeah, Venus Bay.
Like there's plenty, so if the weather does improve we can just stop off. Unfortunately, as we drove further north, the rain just continued to get worse and worse, and we almost felt like it was following us. Unfortunately, our day has been pretty much plagued by the bad weather. We it has. We thought we would be sort of going up the coast and getting out of the rain, but as soon as it stops raining, then it like catches us up eventually, doesn't it? So this is about the only time it's actually properly stopped raining. We're up near Murphy's Haystacks. Quite a lot further up the coast, nearer to sort of between
Venus Bay and Streaky Bay.
Yeah, but these are some like crazy rock formations, and it's also a campsite, so I think we're going to stay here tonight before sort of heading on and past Seduna tomorrow. It's $2 to enter here. We had a lovely stop off in Ellistown, and they had a little bakery. We had a coffee and some cake just to sort of treat ourselves. After spending a short while exploring around the rocks, it started raining again, so we just ended up having some dinner and getting an early night before waking up to a beautiful sunrise and some blue skies, and then seeing the first time that we'd seen some signs with mileage to Perth.
Last night we stayed at Murphy's Haystacks. You have to pay like a $2 donation to visit, but we paid $10 for the camping, with like there was a toilet which flushed, there was like a sink and everything. It was quite a nice spot. It was quite windy last night, like you can tell it's still quite stormy. So we just headed off quite early, going to Seduna for the first stop, which is sort of like the start point of the Nullarbor, and we'll probably like stock up on a few food items there, just to make sure we've got everything that we want basically, because after that we'll be going a bit more
rural.
A bit more rural.
I think it counts as the outback going across the Nullarbor as well, so and we need to just make sure to like stock up on petrol, because apparently like the stops along the Nullarbor and stuff, they're just like stupidly expensive.
Of course, so wherever we see petrol we're just gonna fill up.
We just stopped off in Seduna to get a coffee, picked up some groceries, filled up on petrol as well, just generally sort of like preparing ourselves for this next little leg through the Nullarbor over to Western Australia. We thought this was a good place to end the video. Unfortunately we didn't really get up to as much as what we might have liked to, just between sort of like things not quite being what we expected, and then also the weather, but you know, we're travelling in like autumn now, so the weather's probably going to be a little bit more unpredictable until we get over to sort of like the west coast again, when things will pick up. But we really hope that you enjoyed this video anyway, sort of our, you know, all stuff that we got up to in Adelaide and then across to here in Seduna. The next episode will sort of be taking you across the Nullarbor basically, and we'll pick up from here. We'll be going all the way across into Western Australia. But we really hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to like and subscribe, drop us a comment, and as always we'll see you in the next one.